why are you talking about sex all the time? It's so dangerous. It's going to take you away from Jesus. And I thought, oh my God, take me away from Jesus? The union of man and woman in one flesh is a great mystery, and it's all about Jesus. That's what St. Paul says.
Thank you so much for entering into the pain of the human heart with everyone who God places before you on the podcast. I've been loving your podcasts because they've been teaching me just how much my Creator loves me. It's also inspiring how receptive you are to each other's love. And now, the topic at hand. I used to have scruples, and I thought that thinking about sexuality was wrong. But more recently, I've been wondering if maybe there is a time to marvel at the beauty of a person's sexuality. So my question is it always wrong to think about a person's sexuality? How do I marvel at the body's beauty?
When I was first really diving into John Paul II's theology of the body, you and I were friends at the time. You were still in college and I had graduated, but we hung out with the same friends, and you know this person who shall remain nameless, but I was bubbling over with enthusiasm, as you'll recall, about God's plan for man and woman, about God designing us as sexual beings, about the great mystery of the two becoming one flesh, as St. Paul talks about. And this, I couldn't say enough about it. I'm just blah, 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 blah. So always what was on my mind and heart, and I'm talking about it with all our friends. And
That's right.
One of these friends of ours pulled me aside one time and said, why are you talking about sex all the time? It's so dangerous. It's going to take you away from Jesus. And I thought, oh my God, take me away from Jesus? This is bringing me more closely into the heart and mystery of who Jesus is than anything ever had in my life. And listen to this. Listen to what St. Paul says. The union of man and woman in one flesh is a great mystery, and it's all about Jesus. That's what St. Paul says. And then somebody says, and that's what I'm entering into. That's what I'm feeling. That's what I'm experiencing. And then this other person is saying, that's going to lead you away from Jesus. It was so incongruent to my experience. But I understand where he's coming from, just as I understand where this person's coming from, because the mockery, the distortion, the perversion of human sexuality does indeed take us away from Jesus. Where we get it wrong is to think that that perversion and that mockery and that distortion is all there is. And so in response to this question, I'm thinking of, I can't quote chapter and verse because I'm Catholic. But I know it's in the New Testament somewhere.
Okay.
In one of Paul's letters where he says, whatever is true, whatever is beautiful, whatever is good, whatever is pure, think about these things. So don't think about sexuality as the culture has presented to us, as something base and pornographic, as an indulgence for selfish desires. But do, by all means, learn to enter in to the holiness, the sacredness, the goodness, the beauty of God's plan for making us male and female. That's the journey right there. So there's a holy, beautiful way to do that. There's a distorted way to think about our sexuality. And we have to go on a long, difficult, often painful journey from one to the other. And there will be missteps along the way. I've had plenty of my own, as you know well, Wendy. And I know well, and my spiritual director knows well. But it is better to get out of the boat and sink than never to get out of the boat. So I want to invite this person out of the boat. If you hear the voice of Jesus saying, "Come, it is I," keep your eyes on him and get out of the boat. And if you sink, cry out. Cry out. He's not going to scold you for getting out of the boat. He's going to invite you back to faith. Those are some of my initial thoughts.
Yeah, and I think, one of the things that is really helpful is to recognize that when we say sexuality, we mean masculinity and femininity.
We mean our creation as male and female.
Yes.
Right?
So sometimes those words
Yeah.
can be sort of used different ways. And, how do I marvel at the body if I don't think about sexuality? Sometimes we may assume this means one thing and other people might assume it means another thing. So certainly, in our hearts is a recognition of the beauty of, God's eternal beauty expressed in his creation of people as male and female, masculine and feminine attributes of the body and of the heart of the person, and even a correspondence of that in terms of, because the body expresses the person, how is that not going to happen? That the body is expressing a feminine person, and we can recognize that, if a body's expressing a feminine person, that there are other aspects of the person that correspond to feminine body or masculine body, and to recognize that and see the beauty of the complementarity, that they're not the same and that they need one another, that they benefit from one another. All of those things give us sort of joy and peace and closeness to our Creator. And so I think, that's some of what we're getting at when we are encouraging you to marvel at God's creation.
Yeah, here we have to distinguish between what we could call puritanism on the one hand and Christian purity on the other. I know we've talked about this in previous podcasts, but it bears repeating. Puritanism, I think, is what this questioner has suffered from, that scrupulous, fearful kind of eschewing of the body in the name of a disincarnate holiness. This is not our faith. This is not our faith. Christian purity, Christ says, "Blessed are the pure of heart, for they shall see God." This is what we mean when we say theology of the body, that the body is a sign, an icon of God's own mystery of life-giving love. This doesn't mean God is sexual. God is not sexual, but our sexuality is an echo in the created order of that eternal exchange of life-giving love found in the Trinity. Blessed are the pure of heart, for that's what they'll see when they ponder the beauty, the glory, the mystery of human sexuality. And as you rightly clarified, what does that mean? It means our creation as male and female in the image and likeness of God. John Paul II says this. He says, "Purity is the glory of the human body before God." And then he says, it's even more. It is God's glory in the human body. It is God's glory manifested through masculinity and femininity. And he says, as we journey, as we follow Christ and we allow those purifications to happen from that base, distorted idea of human sexuality to this sacred theology of the body, we come, John Paul II says, we come to experience the gratuitous beauty of the human body in its masculinity and femininity. Love that expression. Gratuitous beauty. God did not need to be so gratuitous in the way he designed us, but he designed us in his image, and he is beauty. So our bodies are going to reveal that beauty. The tragedy of sin has come into the world, and so our bodies also end in death. They return to dust. That's not so beautiful. But even here, the beauty of our faith demonstrates that God loved us in that place, takes on the body, takes on even the ugliness of the body. It says that Jesus on the cross was so deformed that there was nothing to attract us to him, that he took on that deformation of the body in order to lead all of that to a transformation of the body. A defiguration of the body in Jesus leads us to this transfiguration of the body in Jesus. And that alone can allow us even to embrace, rightly, we speak of the ugliness of death, but even there, it can become beautiful. The ugly can become beautiful. This is our faith. This is our journey. Hey everybody, thanks for watching our video.
If you found this video helpful, please consider sharing it and also subscribe and hit the notification bell.
We'd be grateful if you would click the link in the description below about our patron community. Becoming a patron of the Theology of the Body Institute helps us a lot in providing more content like this. Thanks.